Young priest who grew up in the faith in the Philippines, later went on to become a bishop and ultimately a cardinal.
We celebrate the giftedness of this faith. We must keep sharing it as a gift.
For I came down from heaven not to do my will, but the will of the one who sent me.
A private and emotional moment in the Vatican. In a deeply private setting inside the Vatican's most restricted chambers, a profound moment unfolded that would ripple far beyond the marble walls. Senior cardinals, gathered under solemn tones and whispers, were expecting routine discussions about the future of leadership as Pope Francis, now 88, faced increasing health concerns. Instead, they witnessed something unprecedented. In a gathering devoid of formal announcements or media spectacle, Pope Francis delivered a final, personal wish that shook the room to its core. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, typically known for his calm demeanor and strength, was visibly overwhelmed, lowering his head as tears welled in his eyes. Observers described the atmosphere as reverent and stunned, recognizing that what transpired was not merely an internal update, but a pivotal and emotional transfer of vision. This was a private moment, but one destined to shape the public destiny of the Catholic Church, hinting that history was quietly being written behind closed doors. Pope Francis's legacy of simplicity and mercy. From the very start of his papacy, Pope Francis charted a course vastly different from many of his predecessors, rejecting the gilded thrones and lavish papal apartments in favor of a humble guest house and a simple lifestyle. Taking his name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, he made it clear that his mission was to reform from within, emphasizing a church of the poor, for the poor. His messages centered around mercy over judgment, encounter over institution, and compassion over condemnation, dramatically widening the Church's embrace toward marginalized communities worldwide. This final, intimate message to the cardinals was a continuation of that legacy, a powerful reminder that Francis's true goal was not just structural reform, but a transformation of the heart and soul of the global Catholic community. As his strength waned, the urgency to pass this vision on, through personal conviction rather than formal decree, became unmistakably clear. The heartfelt final message, Pope Francis's private address to the senior cardinals, was neither about a resignation nor a succession plan in the traditional sense. Instead, it was a heartfelt offering, his last hope for the future of the Church he had spent his life trying to renew. In the message, the Pope expressed a vision centered not on doctrines or decrees, but on keeping the Church deeply connected to humanity, remaining humble, compassionate, and close to those who suffer. Witnesses recounted that Cardinal Tagle, upon hearing the Pope's words, appeared as though he bore the sudden, full weight of this spiritual responsibility. The Pope's final message was a legacy passed through tears and silence, rather than through public pronouncements, with an emphasis on relationship over rulebook. This was not merely a handing over of leadership, but of purpose, a calling to carry the flame of inclusion, mercy, and humility into the uncertain future. Tagle, the chosen heir of vision, not power. In the eyes of many observers within and outside the Vatican, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle represents not just a favored successor, but the embodiment of Pope Francis's vision. Known for his unwavering humility, profound empathy, and deep connection to ordinary people, Tagle has long been seen as a figure who lives the gospel not through grand gestures, but through small, profound acts of compassion. As news spread of his emotional reaction during the Vatican meeting, speculation surged that Tagle might quietly carry forward the Pope's hopes. He was not chosen for ambition, nor for political savvy, but because he reflected the Church's renewed mission to serve rather than dominate. In an institution where leadership has often been synonymous with grandeur, Tagle's simple humanity stands out as a revolutionary kind of strength, the kind of leadership that doesn't seek attention, but earns it through authenticity. The Church at a crossroads. The Catholic Church today stands at a historic crossroads, facing a deep and existential choice between the enduring weight of tradition and the pressing call for transformation. On one side lies centuries of sacred rituals, theological depth, and apostolic memory, upheld by generations of faithful believers, who see stability as the bedrock of their faith. On the other side rises the urgent voice of change, carried by younger generations, marginalized communities, and those yearning for a church that feels present, compassionate, and engaged with the realities of modern life. Pope Francis's final wish placed this crossroads in sharp relief, signaling that the future of the Church would not simply be about who occupies the papal seat, but about what kind of church the world would inherit. Whether it clings to familiar corridors or boldly steps into a deeper kind of faith, will define its relevance for centuries to come. The rising tension within the Vatican, while the Pope's message stirred hope among many, it also reignited tensions within the Vatican's ancient walls. Powerful factions rooted in traditionalism expressed deep concern that rapid changes could dilute sacred traditions and undermine theological clarity. Behind the public ceremonies and solemn declarations, there is a quieter but no less fierce battle for the soul of the Church, a struggle between those who seek to preserve its classical identity and those who hear the cries of a wounded world asking for renewal. Cardinal Tagle, should he embrace the Pope's vision, would find himself walking a perilous path, balancing centuries of doctrine with the urgent needs of the present. The challenge ahead is not simply political but profoundly spiritual, demanding wisdom, patience, and extraordinary resilience from any leader who dares to bridge the deepening divide. Tagle's quiet strength resonates globally, across continents and cultures. Cardinal Tagle's quiet strength has begun to resonate more powerfully than any loud proclamation could. Faithful Catholics, especially among younger generations and in regions outside Europe, see in him a pastor who does not speak from above, but walks beside them. His life among the poor, his effortless empathy, and his refusal to seek the spotlight have made him a beacon for those yearning for a church that listens before it speaks. His respect among theologians stems not from ambition, but from his theological depth and genuine pastoral heart. In Tagle, many see a potential leader who can hold the Church's ancient traditions in one hand, while embracing the transforming realities of the modern world with the other. A rare balance that could define the Catholic Church's identity for the coming century. The emotional weight of potential leadership. The tears that Cardinal Tagle shed during Pope Francis's final message were not mere emotional displays. They were the outward sign of a profound internal reckoning. For a man who has consistently modeled humility and service, the possibility of ascending to the papacy would mean carrying the spiritual hopes and wounds of over 1 billion people. Accepting such a burden is not about prestige, but about profound sacrifice. Close sources revealed that after the emotional meeting, Tagle withdrew into deep reflection, grappling with the immense responsibility that lay before him. His struggle was visible. The tension between personal humility and the global responsibility he might be called to bear. It's a test of soul and spirit, one that could define not only the next papacy, but the Church's future trajectory. A shift from European centers to the global south. Pope Francis's final wish signaled a monumental shift in the Church's spiritual compass, from the traditional power centers of Europe to the vibrant, suffering, and hopeful faith communities of the global south. For centuries, Catholic leadership has been dominated by European voices, but the fastest-growing Catholic populations are now in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Cardinal Tagle, born in Manila and deeply connected to the struggles and joys of the ordinary faithful, stands as a symbol of this transformation. If he steps into the papacy, it will mark a historic recentering of the Church's voice, one that listens to the margins, speaks from the streets, and embraces a global identity rooted not in marble palaces, but in lived faith and community resilience. The future hangs in the balance. As speculation swirls and anticipation builds, one undeniable truth emerges: the future of the Catholic Church is hanging delicately in the balance. The conclave may still be on the horizon, but Pope Francis's final call for a church of mercy, presence, and compassion already echoes loudly through cathedrals and chapels around the globe.
Whether Cardinal Tagle ultimately accepts the call or another is chosen, the true measure of this moment will not be found in titles or ceremonies, but in whether the Church dares to embrace the deeper faith Francis envisioned. The world watches, not merely to see a new leader emerge, but to witness whether an institution older than most nations can rise with fresh humility, honesty, and hope into the new era it so urgently needs to serve.